Hello everyone, Reed here. And yeah, I apologize for my background. I'm now in an apartment. It's one of the reasons why I'm not making videos very frequently. But with the upcoming election, I just want to talk about something that came to my attention. So, um, where I am, we are going to vote on passing what my state calls Proposition 1. That's just a name that every state uses for every proposition. So, like the number one thing that they want to talk about. But so for my state, Proposition 1 means ranked choice voting. So I believe there are like 5 states that are working on that and trying to pick like what they want to do with ranked choice voting. But yeah, my state is one of those. And I want to explain kind of what Proposition 1 is and isn't, and like just share my thoughts on it. So Prop 1 is so for my state, um, the it'll open up the primary elections so anyone can run and like everyone can vote regardless of party affiliation. And so some pros and cons of that. Pros are more people get the opportunity to participate in the primaries. I didn't because I didn't see any point in it. But if it was ranked choice voting, I might consider actually participating in the primaries. So there's that. Um, some people say that, so for a con, some people say that the candidates can lie about what party they're affiliated with. And I'm like, you act like people don't do that anyways. I'm not going to name names or point fingers, but we have several people running in the current presidential election in the US that have lied about what party they're affiliated with or who they support, and they flopped back like they were one thing one way, now they're completely different, mainly because they just want to play the people. It's politics. Okay? So pretty normal. I'm sorry if you're hearing like my mic hit my collar. Um, but like I'm like that's already happening. So it's not that big of a deal to me. Um, it in my state, one particular party refuses to let anyone not associated with that party vote in the primaries. And so I'm more independent than associated with any particular party. And they say that if we were to open it up, then the opposite party would gain more control, things like that in the primaries. I'm like, is that a bad thing? I mean, if that's what the majority of people say that they want, then fine. Um, but anyways, that's the primaries. Like I feel like it allow more people to have their voice heard there. So with like presidential elections specifically, what ranked choice voting looks like is like you'll have four candidates that were chosen from the primary election. And then on election day, you will choose between those four. So you'll have and like you'll rank them in order of preference. So say you have like Mickey Mouse, Darth Vader, um, Katniss Everdeen, and Markiplier. Like like you might rank them differently depending on who you are. Like I might put Markiplier number one, Katniss number two, Mickey Mouse number three, Darth Vader number four. Somebody could do it a completely different order. So and how they would work is they'd be like, okay, who has the most consistent votes? It's not who loses. It's like if so and so, like Mickey Mouse, gets number one for the majority of people, boom, done. He wins. But if he doesn't have that majority, they go to option two, then option three, four, You see where I'm getting at. I want to note I am not a political expert or genius or whatever. This is just how I'm understanding ranked choice voting, if that makes sense. And the neat thing, from my understanding, is that you don't have to put all four. And so, say I'm like Darth Vader, he's awful. Why would I want him as my president or governor or whatever? I'm not including him. So, number one, Mickey Mouse, two, Markiplier, three, Katniss, done. I'm not including Darth Vader in that. Like, you could do that. And so, that's kind of how that would look. Pros and cons. Some pros. It gets rid of the two-party system. And I know you're going to go to the comments and be like, oh, but the two-party system's great. It's not. George Washington, our first president, said, don't do it. Like, it would ruin this country. And I think it has. Like, just look at the heat and contention from just like this current election. So I don't agree with the two-party system personally. I I understand why it's in place. Like, it makes it easy to be like, oh, they're Republican, they believe in this. Democrat believes in this. But as I said earlier, they don't fully affiliate with that. Sometimes they flop parties just to get a vote. And like, we could remove that. So that's a pro. We would not have to worry about the two-party system. We could mix things up a little bit and let other people have a chance to lead. A con with that is, so an argument that I've heard, which is valid, is that with Alaska, they implemented this ranked choice voting 4 years ago. And then 2 years later, so 2022, they used it. And that state is primarily Republican. And somehow a Democratic leader got into power, like as the governor or a congressperson or something. Really funny. But a lot of people threw a fit and they're like, are you kidding? We're mostly Republican. And I'm personally, that doesn't bug me. I try to go off of who I think is the best fit, not necessarily who fits a particular party, if that makes sense. And so, personally, I don't care about that. But if you are someone who's like, oh, it has to be Republican or oh, it has to be Democrat, okay, just don't include the opposite party in your rank. Like, if there's only one Republican and the others are Democrat and you want to vote Republican, vote Republican. Like, it is what it is, and it still fits the majority of people, usually. Now, statistically, there is a chance that the opposite party could be um, instated, just like with Alaska. So, I understand, like, it's possible, um, but that's only happened once, and it's a very new system. Not a lot of people, I say people, but not a lot of states or governments have used it yet, at least not from what I could read off the internet. So it's a give and take with that. Um, so there's that. Now, a pro for doing ranked choice voting makes it so everyone feels heard. Like I mentioned that earlier, but like it feels like your vote matters more with ranked choice voting, whereas it's like I'm a liberal in Texas. Like, I'm going to vote Democrat, and then the Republican's going to win. Does my vote even matter? Or you could flip it, say you're a Republican in California. Like, the Democrats are going to win, so why bother voting? With ranked choice voting, there's a chance your party might get in. So, like, I feel like it'd change things up and it'd be interesting to try out. A con, and this is actually one of the few that I agree with, is that it costs a lot of money. like 25 to 40 million dollars. Yeah, that's about what I would expect. Like, you'd have to get new machines for every county office. You'd have to train people. You have to educate people on how to do it, make a new curriculum for the schools. Like, yes, it's a lot of work. And because of the money, it'd be taken out of taxes. So, like, that's one thing that I'm like, okay, I see where that's a bad thing. At the same time, maybe it'll be worth it. I don't know. We have to try it. Also, Alaska is trying to repeal having um, ranked choice voting. It just cracks me up because they're like, oh, we try it once, it failed, we're done. Maybe it works better as you go on. Like, one time does not mean that was good or bad. Like, you need more data. Sorry, I'm rambling, but like, I'm a scientist. Like, well, scientifically minded person. I'm not officially a scientist. But statistically, yeah, you're going to have weird outliers like that. But maybe most of the time it works. We don't know. We don't have the data yet. So, and to get the data, we have to do it. Anyways, um, so with another another thing I've heard is that it would require the voters to actually do stuff and that they wouldn't participate. So on one hand, people that want to participate can. On the other, people will get confused and not enjoy voting. Although I don't know why you would enjoy voting. That seems odd, but that's besides the point. Like like that's a bit of a give and take depending on how you look at it. Like if we get rid of the two-party system and they just affiliate with that party, but you don't go with that party, you're like, no, I like this candidate better. I feel like that's an even better. That's a good thing. Like if you have like a Republican candidate you really like, but there's this other Republican candidate running with them that you don't like, you can adjust. And like you might have to look into what the candidates actually are talking about and care about rather than just saying, oh, they have the little R or little D next to their name. Check the box, I'm voting for them. Like, I get it. As humans, especially Americans, we like the easy way out. I feel like we need to work harder, especially when it comes to voting and important things like that. But like I said, people will get confused and they might throw away their ballots and just not care. I think it'd take a few years to get things set up and rolling, not like Alaska, but I think down the line it would work really well. So that's kind of like where I'm seeing this at. Like I see both sides. Personally, in case you couldn't tell, I agree with ranked choice voting. One thing to note, if you do vote for it, there is a chance, or choose not to, but it passes anyways. There is a good chance that the government, your state government, could repeal it or amend it and not let it pass through the system. Like they could cut it off and say, no, we're not passing it. So at that point, it's like, then why even bother voting for it if you're going to get rid of it anyways? But yeah, so that could happen and that could make some people upset. So, anyways, that's just something I found was super interesting. I want to explain what I understood about Proposition 1 as best and ranked choice voting as best as I could. Um, yeah, main thing that I'm worried about if it passes and it doesn't get repealed is that it costs a lot of money. It'll be taken through taxes. So that's my biggest concern. A lot of people that are opposing it tend to favor like the current party that's in charge. So like Alaska is a Republican state. Well, people that are against it are of the dominant party. So like Alaska is a, a Republican dominant state typically, and they don't want Democrats in office for them. But first of all, I think it'd be nice to blend Republican and Democrat a little bit, help get a bit more of a middle ground, because the representative votes for what they think is right, but they also have to represent their people and stay in office, things like that. But the dominant party is worried that they will get voted out with the ranked choice voting. At least that's what I see. So, like, I live in a primarily Republican state, and obviously, like, Trump's going to get the electoral votes, probably the popular vote in my state. But if we did ranked choice voting, it's a little more up in the air. It's like, who knows? And I feel like it'd make the elections more entertaining, personally, but I guess they're not supposed to be entertaining, but I don't know. I mean, entertaining in a good way. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, what's going on. Whereas now, the entertaining parts are the debates, where they're like, you suck, no, you suck, your mom's fat. Oh, yeah, well, my dad can be a pure dad, even though they're dead. Like, debates are a whole different topic. But I don't know, I think ranked choice voting is at least worth a shot. Um, and I want to also note, like, if it passes and doesn't get repealed, you could always like petition for it to be repealed later. Like it doesn't have to be a permanent thing unless it works. And I mean like several elections it works. Not just one like Alaska where it does something they didn't want. Like that it genuinely works. But anyways, I just thought that was super interesting, so just want to try to explain what was going on with that and help you give some insight. Please go ahead and vote the way you want. You don't have to align with my ideals. That's totally fine. I'm not saying that you have to vote for Proposition 1 or you don't have to. Just trying to explain the situation and share my take on it. So, if you disagree, that's fine. Let me know in the comments like what your thoughts are. I almost said counter arguments, but I want to discuss, not argue. But yeah, share any thoughts that you have on this, why you support it, why you don't, because I want to get a more holistic view than just, oh yes, I like it, but I see that there are some flaws. So, anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and remember to lend a hand to those who need it. Bye.